Gold bars stashed in hidden vaults, priceless jewels buried beneath centuries of dirt, whole treasures that simply vanished without a trace. These aren't just wild legends or movie plots. Some of the world's most valuable fortunes are still out there, lost in shipwrecks, hidden in ruins, or buried deep where no one has dared to dig. For centuries, people have chased these riches, some driven by greed, others by obsession. But no matter how many maps, theories, or treasure hunters come along, these lost fortunes remain missing. Could they still be waiting to be found? Let's look at 15 of the most mysterious lost treasures that have never seen the light of day, starting with number 15, the Monterrey loot. Some treasures are lost at sea, others in forgotten tombs. Then there's the Monterrey loot, supposedly buried in the unforgiving desert of Skeleton Canyon, straddling the Arizona-New Mexico border. This one starts in the late 1800s when a band of outlaws raided Monterrey, Mexico, making off with gold bars, diamonds, and priceless Catholic artifacts. The heist went smoothly. The getaway? Not so much. As the bandits crossed into the U.S., they were ambushed. Some say by the U.S. cavalry, others by rival criminals. Either way, it didn't end well. Realizing they were cornered, the outlaws buried their haul, hoping to retrieve it later. Well, no one ever came back for it. Over the last century, treasure hunters have scoured Skeleton Canyon with metal detectors, shovels, and a lot of misplaced confidence. To this day, 39 gold bars remain missing, or, depending on who you ask, are long gone, stolen in secret. Number 14, the Lima treasure. If there's one thing history has proven, it's that trusting pirates never ends well. Case in point, the Lima treasure, one of the largest missing fortunes in history. In the early 1800s, as the revolution threatened Spanish control in Peru, authorities panicked and tried to move their vast wealth, gold bars, silver ingots, religious relics, and gemstones, out of Lima. The estimated value? Anywhere from $12 million to $60 million at the time. To keep it safe, they hired a British captain, William Thompson, to transport it to Mexico. Big mistake. The second Thompson and his crew had a chance. They killed the Spanish guards, hijacked the treasure, and sailed straight for Cocos Island, off Costa Rica. But before they could retrieve the loot, the Spanish Navy caught them. The entire crew was executed, except for Thompson and his first mate, who were spared in exchange for revealing the treasure's location. Smart move? Not really. Once they were freed, they vanished without ever leading anyone to the hoard. For centuries, treasure hunters, including pirate fanboy Franklin D. Roosevelt, have searched Cocos Island, but the fortune remains lost. Number 13, the Fabergé Island treasure. Off the coast of Michigan's Fabergé Island, beneath the icy waters of Lake Michigan, lies a missing treasure worth at least $400 million, or so the legend says. There are two competing theories about where this mysterious gold came from. One story claims that James Strang, a self-declared king of a failed religious colony, tried to escape with a fortune in gold, only to have it sink to the lake's bottom. But the more popular theory? It belonged to Napoleon III. In the mid-1800s, as France faced total collapse, Napoleon III supposedly arranged for several chests of gold to be shipped to Canada. But before it could reach its destination, pirates attacked, and the ship was sunk near Fabergé Island. Since then, treasure hunters have scoured the area, but shifting sands and unpredictable waters have kept the gold hidden. Some fishermen claim they've snagged their nets on metallic objects, but unless someone hauls up a chest of gold, this remains one of North America's most frustrating lost treasures. Number 12. The Forrest Fenn treasure. What happens when a millionaire gets bored? If you're Forrest Fenn, you spark one of the wildest modern treasure hunts in history. In 2010, the eccentric art dealer and former Air Force pilot decided to leave behind a legacy, so he filled a small bronze chest with gold nuggets, rare coins, and precious artifacts, then hid it somewhere in the Rocky Mountains. To make it even more interesting, he published a poem in his memoir, The Thrill of the Chase, packed with cryptic clues leading to the treasure's location. For the next decade, tens of thousands of people searched through Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and New Mexico, hiking through wilderness, dodging bears, and, in some cases, quitting their jobs to solve the mystery. Then, in 2020, the hunt finally ended. Someone found it. Who? A mystery treasure hunter. Where? Never publicly revealed. The discovery was confirmed by Fenn himself, but the exact location remains a secret. Number 11. Blackbeard's treasure. If you're going to be a legendary pirate, you better have legendary treasure. And Blackbeard? He took that idea very seriously. From 1716 to 1718, the fearsome pirate, real name Edward Teach, terrorized the Atlantic, hijacking Spanish treasure ships loaded with gold, silver, and jewels. His ship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, was a floating fortress, armed to the teeth and impossible to outrun. Despite being one of the richest pirates of all time, Blackbeard never flaunted his wealth. Instead, he spread rumors that he had hidden massive stashes of gold somewhere along the East Coast, possibly in North Carolina, Virginia's Chesapeake Bay, or even the Caribbean. In 1718, the British Navy finally caught up with him near Ocracoke Island, North Carolina, and after a brutal battle, Blackbeard was killed. But his treasure? Nowhere to be found. Since then, treasure hunters have scoured the East Coast, hoping to uncover the lost pirate fortune. In 1996, archaeologists discovered the wreckage of the Queen Anne's Revenge, confirming at least some of the legend was real. But whether Blackbeard actually buried his loot or just let people believe he did remains one of the greatest mysteries in pirate history. Number 10. The East Idaho Stagecoach Robbery. Stagecoach robberies were practically a Wild West tradition, but few heists left behind as much mystery as the East Idaho Stagecoach Robbery. In 1865, the Overland Stage Line was carrying a shipment of gold when it was allegedly ambushed by the infamous Picket Coral Gang. The outlaws supposedly buried their loot in Portneuf Canyon, planning to return later, except, well, they never did. Here's where things get tricky. Some historians argue the robbery never actually happened. No official records confirm the theft, yet locals have passed down stories of hidden gold for over 150 years. Treasure hunters have scoured the canyon with metal detectors and shovels, but no fortune has surfaced. Either the gang retrieved it long ago, or it's still sitting beneath Idaho's rugged terrain. If real, that stagecoach gold could be worth millions today. Number 9. The 7 lost Fabergé eggs. You don't need to be a treasure hunter to appreciate the Fabergé eggs. They're some of the most extravagant artifacts ever created. Commissioned by Russian czars, Alexander III and Nicholas II between 1885 and 1917, these jeweled masterpieces weren't just Easter gifts, they were status symbols, crafted with gold, diamonds, and intricate surprises inside. Of the 50 legendary imperial Fabergé eggs, 43 are accounted for. The other 7? Gone without a trace. Some may have been stolen during the Russian Revolution, others sold off and forgotten. In 2014, a scrap dealer unknowingly bought one at a flea market, planning to melt it for gold, only to discover it was the 3rd imperial egg worth millions. If one turned up at a random flea market, who knows where the others might be? Some forgotten attic, an antique shop, or maybe right under someone's nose. Number 8. The Confederate gold. As the Civil War collapsed around them in 1865, the Confederate government had one last desperate move: hide the money. Gold coins, bullion, and valuable artifacts were loaded onto trains and wagons sent out of Richmond, Virginia, before Union forces could seize them. Then, they disappeared. There are enough theories to make a conspiracy theorist sweat. Some say Confederate officials buried the gold in secret locations to fund a future rebellion. Others believe it was stolen, either by fleeing Confederates or opportunistic Union soldiers. Some even claim it was dumped into a river, hidden in forests, or lost in a shipwreck on the Great Lakes. Treasure hunters have spent 160 years chasing clues, but no significant portion of the Confederate gold has ever been recovered. If it still exists, it's not just a jackpot. It's one of the greatest missing fortunes in American history. Number 7. The treasure of Amaro Pargo. Amaro Pargo wasn't your average pirate. The guy was a Spanish privateer, meaning he had the government's blessing to legally plunder enemy ships. Born in 1678 in the Canary Islands, he raided the Caribbean for gold, silver, and rare goods, amassing a ridiculous fortune. But the real mystery? Where did all that money go? Many believe Pargo buried his treasure in hidden caves across the Canary Islands. Some think he used secret tunnels beneath his properties. Others say he left cryptic clues in old documents. His will even mentioned a mysterious chest, but never revealed what was inside or where it was. For centuries, treasure hunters have searched for his legendary fortune, but nothing has surfaced. If the gold is still out there, it's not just a financial windfall. It's a piece of pirate history waiting for someone to finally uncover it. Number 6. The Scepter of Dagobert. If you thought the French monarchy's biggest loss was the guillotine, think again. The Scepter of Dagobert, a 7th century solid gold royal scepter, was one of the most important symbols of French power. It sat in the Saint-Denis Basilica alongside other crown jewels until the French Revolution turned everything upside down. In 1795, revolutionaries looted the basilica, ransacking treasures and destroying symbols of the monarchy. Somewhere in the chaos, the scepter vanished. Some believe it was stolen and smuggled out of France, while others think it was melted down and sold on the black market. Despite countless searches, no one has ever found it. If it did survive, it's probably locked away in a forgotten collection or buried somewhere, waiting to be rediscovered. And if someone ever does find it, let's just say they'll be rich. Number 5. El Dorado. Nothing makes humans lose their minds faster than the thought of unlimited gold, and El Dorado is Exhibit A. Spanish conquistadors in the 1500s showed up in South America, thinking they were about to cash in on a golden city, all because of local stories about a Muisca tribal chief who covered himself in gold dust and tossed treasures into Lake Guatavita as an offering. Naturally, the Spanish heard this and assumed, yep, definitely an entire city made of gold. Fast forward to 1545, and they tried to drain the lake, probably thinking they'd walk away with enough treasure to retire early. What did they find? A few golden trinkets. A couple hundred years later, another team tried again. Spoiler alert, still no golden city. Historians now say El Dorado was never a place, just a story that got wildly exaggerated over time. But hey, if there's even one gold coin still buried out there, you know someone's going to keep digging. Number 4, the Florentine diamond. A 137.27 carat yellow diamond. Bigger than your average engagement ring, shinier than a rapper's chain, and at one point, worth hundreds of millions. The Florentine diamond was a showstopper, supposedly from India, that ended up bouncing between Europe's richest families, including the Medicis. Eventually, it landed with the Austrian imperial family, right up until World War I came along and wrecked everything. When the royals fled to Switzerland, they took the diamond with them. Then, it straight up vanished. No dramatic heist, no final sighting, just gone. Some think it was stolen. Others say it was cut into smaller, unrecognizable gems and sold off quietly. If it's still intact, it's one of the most valuable missing gems in history. If not, well, someone out there is unknowingly rocking a piece of it in their grandmother's necklace. Number 3. The Max Valentine Owl. In the 90s, a French author named Max Valentine pulled the ultimate move. He buried an actual treasure and challenged the world to find it. Inside his book, Sur la trace de la chouette d'or, On the Trail of the Golden Owl, he claimed that a golden owl statue was hidden somewhere in France, and whoever found it would win a fortune. The catch? His clues made 0 sense. People went full detective mode, analyzing every word, digging in random fields, and dedicating years of their lives to cracking the puzzle. Then, in 2009, Valentine died, taking any extra hints with him. Some believe the owl was never buried in the first place. Others think it's out there, still waiting for the one person who actually gets whatever cryptic nonsense Valentine wrote. Until then, it remains one of the world's most frustratingly unsolved treasure hunts. Number 2. The Awa Maru treasure. World War II was chaos, but the story of the Awa Maru takes it to another level. Near the end of the war, the U.S. allowed Japanese supply ships to safely pass through naval defenses to deliver aid to American POWs. Sounds noble, right? Except Japan allegedly used this opportunity to smuggle out gold, platinum, priceless artifacts, and even some of its top scientists. Because why waste a good loophole? This plan might have worked, except for one massive screw-up. A miscommunication led a U.S. submarine to torpedo the Awa Maru in 1945, sending everything to the ocean floor near China. Estimates put the lost cargo's value between $5 to $10 billion in today's money. Multiple recovery attempts have found nothing. Either the treasure is still buried under layers of silt, or someone found it and kept their mouth very shut. Number 1. The Oak Island Money Pit. Nova Scotia's Oak Island has been messing with people's heads since 1795, when a teenager named Daniel McGinnis found a weird hole in the ground. Naturally, he started digging because, obviously, if there's a random pit, it must be hiding treasure. Over 200 years later, people are still digging, and the only thing they've found is disappointment and a financial hole deeper than the actual pit. Theories about what's buried here range from pirate gold to Templar treasure, even lost Shakespearean manuscripts. The island is packed with weird discoveries, wooden platforms, ancient symbols, and even traces of gold. But every attempt to dig deeper has ended in disaster, including floods from booby-trapped tunnels. At this point, Oak Island is either hiding the greatest treasure of all time, or it's just nature's best prank. Either way, modern excavators are still throwing money at it, hoping they will be the ones to finally hit the jackpot. If you've enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.